In this video, we will see one of the example of the PCF component. We will create one PCF project and then we'll set up it. So before we do that, we have some prerequisites to do in our system. So suppose if you are using the Windows operating system to for your PCF to build it, so in that case we have to install few things, few set up our environment to use to create the PCF. So first of all, we have to have the Power App Platform developer account or like any Power Apps account you can have. We need this one to sign in and so that we can manage the package and solutions. Then we have to install the Node.js into our system. Then we have to install the Power Platform CLI to our system and any code editor. Like currently, I'm using the Visual Studio Code, so you can install the Visual Studio Code into your system. And also, if suppose you are using the Visual Studio, there is a extension for that. You can install the extension there and you can use there also. So here, this is the link of the Node.js you can download. So I'll open here. So this is the Node.js link. You can go to the source code and you can download the Node.js and you can install it. Once you will install, you will see the version of the node coming. So I'll open the terminal and I'll show you the node version which is currently installed into my system. So if I'll type the node v after installation, you can check your node version and then the npm version. So make sure you have installed it correctly and it will give you the version of the node and npm installed into your system correctly. Then once you will install this one, you have to install the Power Platform CLI, which is the here. If you go to the link, this link already I will provide you. You can download the Power Platform CLI from there. So if you go to the link here and install part, there we are having link for the MSI installer. You can install that directly. But suppose if you're not you don't want to install it like that, you can run the npm command also to get install it from the package manager. So you can install it. Once you install the both the way, like you suppose you install either this way or using the npm command, whatever the way you have installed, once it is installed, you can check the version of your package. So that is the pack version you can check. So it will give you the details of your package version it is installed into your machine. So you can get it here. So it is giving the right. So this is the version currently installed into my system. As I mentioned, next we have to install some editor tool. Like you can use the Visual Studio or the Visual Studio Code or the whatever the editor you are familiar with. And then currently I'm using the Visual Studio Code. So this is the link of the Visual Studio Code you can download from there. And this is the link for the extension of the Visual Studio. So if you'll open this one, basically it helps you to add the extension to your project. So if you go here, then you can add download it and then you can install it. When you install, you have to close the Visual Studio and then it will appear as extension. So you can use this to connect with your Power Platform, like basically Dataverse connections and all. It will help you to build that one and make the connections or the project, the PCF project running. So like that, these are the few prerequisites you have to set up into your system. I assume you already have done that one. Once you will do that, we can start doing the initialization of our PCF project. So for that, we have to uh, create one folder. So this is my folder. I will go to this folder and open into the terminal. So this is the repository or the location where uh, I'm having this project to be created. And what project I'm going to create is that, let me show you. So this is my Dynamics environment, Power Apps. This is my Power Apps solution. So under the, if you go to the make.powerapps.com, we are having this solution. So under this solution, I do not have any custom component. You can see here, right? And I'm going to create the new custom component under this solution. And what I will do, if I'll open one of the contact, I have one field called age. So for this field, currently I'm giving the number value here, right? 1, 2, 3, something. So this range value I'm setting here. So instead of giving the range value like this, I will just put the input as a range or slider here, and then while scrolling left or right, that slider, I can set this value to this field, and then we'll see the visualization also. So this PCF, I'm going to build it as a demo purpose. Since this is our first demo, so I want to take it as a simple one. So I'm just taking this example here. So here now moving next, so I'll open this folder into the code, basically Visual Studio. So once you write this one, it will open that particular folder into your Visual Studio here. So this is my Visual Studio. You can just trust that folder, and then we have to initialize the project here. Okay, so to initialize the PCF project, we have to run the pack initialization. So there is some steps you can follow here. So already I have set up here. So if I'll go to the next, so you can basically you can create your own directory. So already I have created my folder as a uh, under this PCF. I will create the new folder. So take example, make direct this is the make directory, and you can create your folder under which you are going to create the PCF project. So since this is my slider project, so for the any number type, so what I'm going to give, I'll create the new folder here. I'll give this name as a slider uh, DNLB slider. Okay, so this is the folder. I think I have to open into this folder. So if I'll go to my folder here, this is my folder. Under this folder, I have to open the code. So this should be the my root directory where my code resides. So I'll open that here. So this is my folder DNLB slider. Under this folder, I will initialize the uh, my my PCF project. So the step for initializing the PCF project is pack PCF and namespace, and then your project name, or the your slider, the component name, and the template what we are going to use. So I'm going to use template here field because I have to interact with one field, right? So the most suitable template is field only, so I will use that one. So let initialize, open the terminal here, and then we'll do that. So it is pack PCF init namespace. I'll give this name as a DNLB namespace, and then name, I'll give this name as a DNLB slider, and then template, it will be filled. And also you can run the npm commands together if you want to, like it is run and then uh, npm install. You can do that, you can do like this one. So it will run the npm command at a time, like you can use it. So but I'm going to run it as separately, so I'll just remove this one. I'll create the project first, and then I'll show you so that we can visualize it in the step by step what is happening here. So now as soon as you will initialize the project, it will initialize the node.js project for us. And here you can see we are having the package.json created, then one folder of the dnb slider, another folder will be created. Under that folder we'll have the our TypeScript code, where our main code resides, the entry file of our logic. Then we are having the manifest file, the details of our PCF we give here, and also the TypeScript configurations. If you want to set up the machines, like where it should run and all those things, from where the when the TypeScript will run, it will basically compile the code, right? The logic of compiling those things, it where it should fetch it. So that details will be stored into here. Currently you can see it is trying to get from the node modules, and currently we do not have node module here. So if you try to build now, it will fail. So example, if I try to run npm run build, so it should fail because there is no uh, pcf script not recognized, because it will not be found under the generated input. So that file is not referenced here. So if you go to the PCF configuration and output control, it will generate the PCF. project is this entry package is not found. So we have to install the npm here so that it gets it. And also the package suggestion, it store the details of our project, the project names and versions and those ones. And it has the lot of dependencies to be installed. So those dependencies packages, it stores the versions of those packages here. But when as soon as you will install the npm the packages, it will create the another log.json file where the latest package what you have installed, the version of that one, it will be stored into the log.json, so that if any developer is working on the same project, so they can maintain the locking version of the package. Basically, the version which is in the log package, it will not be changed. Even another developer also, they have to use the same package version, so that if some version mismatch happen, and due to that if you're getting some error, it will get resolved, so they will not have that chance of missing it. So that is why it will create the new log package file. In the PCF config file, basically it generates like where the output directory should go. So as soon as when you run it, you will see that output folder will be generated, and we can see that. And this is our project file. Main, it is the, you can see the extension of this one is PCF project, not the C sharp project. When you VB project, when you create the C sharp or Visual Basic project, right, the extension will be different. So it is our PCF project. Here in the index.txt file, where it is our entry project of our like entry file of our logic, where we can see the constructor will be there. This will be the empty constructor. Then we have the init function. It will initialize when you want to initialize your DOM component or any data to your component, the PCF component. We have to update this function here. Then update view, it will render the data to the output, the visualization. That logic we can write. Get output, like suppose some value you want to extract it and put into the send it to the host, basically is Power App server host to accept it and then validate it and return to the PCF framework, that we have to return some value from here basically, and then destroy the component. So this is the life cycle of the component. It will automatically initialize, and some instructions of those functions will be given, like when to use and how it is used. So that template, it will be generated. Under the control manifest file, we can, this is the important file because here we define our namespace and the constructor where for which file it is coming. So the constructor file, you can see this is our class name. It should be the same class name, the constructor name, the version of my component here, the display name of the component, and details of that one. Here, if you're using some external user services, you can add it. By default, you can see these some examples they have given some domain and all, but this is commented. So, but this is giving you as a template details, like you can use it, how you can use it. Then there is a property. So this property you can define. We can, like, since our property is like the input or the user or the binding where we have to use this PCF into the dynamics, that property we have to set it, and we can add the multiple properties into the manifest file. So when you add the property, so it will accept the property name, display key name, and the description of the property. Then of which type of property you want to accept from the user. So it's, by default, one property will be there, because when you create the field type template, it has to bind to the one field, right? So that will be there. And if you're adding another property, then it could be your like input. Basically, if you use the bound type as input, like user, they, when you use this PCF onto the form, the user, they have to set some value to that input. If it is required, then it is required to be filled some value. If it is false, then it is optional. Then user can not, they should not pass some value to that field, like that. So we will see some more examples with the bond and input type of property in the upcoming other PCF when we build. As of now, you can see this one. And this is the resource file where we include the different resources. Currently, as soon as index file has been created, it is already added to the path here in the resource tag of this manifest. And if you're adding the new custom, like suppose images you are having, or the styles files you are having, you can include these files like that. So examples are given here. Okay, so this is how you can understand the file component of the PCF. So now what we are going to do, we have to add install the npm. So currently you can see it is giving error because npm is not installed. So I'll just do the npm install. So as soon as it will execute, it will uh, check the packaging, and whatever the dependencies components are mentioned with the of the particular version type, it will download that one and add the new folder called the node underscore modules. Under that it will add the component. We have to wait for some time to install it. Okay, so it is installing. Okay, so it has completed the installation, and if you see the node underscore modules, this folder has been created, and also the log packagation has been created, because what it has happened is, using this packagation, it has downloaded the package version of which is defined here and put into the log JSON, so that this log JSON will be used if somebody, suppose this package, this solution you have given to somebody, some different developer, so they will be when they will run the npm install, then it will be downloaded only this log version of the package, like that. So it will be installed. So now this is the folder structure created. So, and here in the generated output, when we go that, you will see under the our folder of the controller, there is a definition of the TypeScript file will be generated, manifest types.d.ts file. And here the sample property output and input interface will be generated. Why this sample property is coming here? Because if you see in the index and we are having one property, if you see the manifest file, sorry, under the manifest file, we are having the sample property as only one property. So that property is defined here. So that is why we are having only one as export input type property here. If you add more properties here, so those many property of the type, whether it is using bound or input. So depends on the type of bound and input, it will add, it will generate, it will update basically this manifest type definition file here, TypeScript file, so that this properties, generated properties, it is exported here. You can see the it is exporting this interface from here, and then uh, it uses into the TypeScript, the index TypeScript here, where it is importing here, and then it is we can import, we can use it anywhere that those generated properties. So like that, it happening. So if you change this one, so according to that, the definitions of the type and this will be changed. Okay, so this is our the structure of the project. So if you first of all, if you see here, if you try to run it, npm run build, it should run it now. At least it will not give the node.js error because it is running now. So it should run that project now. So as soon as you will run, you will see one output folder will be created. Why our output folder got created? Because under the TypeScript configurations, it is not here. Under the PCF configuration, it has to generate that output details into this output folder here. So if you see in the output, basically when npm runs, it creates one bundle, the package, which is actually it is a code component which can be deployed to the environment. So that code component generated one, it is in the output folder, and under this bundle js you can see these three components, whatever is there inside this folder, it will be generated, that bundle file. So this is the generated js file from the TypeScript, and that is used to basically, it has the basic logic, whatever we have created, all those things it is using here. You can see bundle JS it is using, and then filled by back, and then properties what we have used in the manifest file it has. So basically, output folder is nothing but our generated main component, which is it is generated. So it used to deploy that one into the another environment when we use. So like this, it is running now. So now we will enhance further to it. So first of all, as we mentioned, we have to change our manifest file here. So what we will do, we will change the property name, and I'm going to give this property name as DNLB slider. Okay, I'll just keep everything lower, slider. Okay, and the display name, display key name, I'll just keep it DNLB slider, all same thing. And this is the description, so I'll just give DNLB slider description. And the type of this one, since this field where I'm going to use this component, this is the whole number field, so it will not accept if you add some number, it will not accept some string value like alphanumeric, alpha value, alphabetical value, it will not accept. It will accept only the number value. If in the decimal value will not be acceptable here, if you try to add, it will not take, it will round it to the nearest integer value, so it only accept the integer value. So for this integer value, I'm going to create one slider for that. So that is why my data type, which I'm going to bound my this property, should be the whole number. And for the whole number, we have to use like this. So some sample is already created. You can see if you're using the whole number, then the type of should be whole dot none. So you can copy this one and you can put into the uh, instead of single line text. Basically, single line text is you know the data type for single line text, or the for that purpose for text field we use that one. But since my field is a whole number, or so numeric field, so I'm going to use this whole dot null. And obviously it is bound type because I have to set this field to the any whole number data type of field. So I'm just that will be bound. Like I will not be asking input to this field, because whenever I'll be use this feature, this property, I have to put into the sum field. So I'll just take it as a bound here, and then it is required to true. So small changes I did. So I'll this is the you can see the changes. Remaining code I'll just delete from here. So I'm just going to remove. And also the external services we are not going to use in this code. So I'll just delete this one, or we can comment also. And here I'll just delete this commented part. And I'll delete this. You can see if you're using the external features, users feature like web API, utility, and those things, if you're going to use, you have to include your features like this. So this web API example we will see in the next video. So I'll show you that. But for this video, for this type of control, range slider control, I'm going to delete this part. Okay, and here in the resource part, we have to include our CSS file. So we can create the CSS file and then we can use it. Okay, so here, first of all, we have to change it, the index file now. So as of now, this CSS including I will do later. But before that, I'm going to add little bit some changes into the index file here. So first of all, we have to build it the our DOM module. So for that, we should have the some container and then input elements, right? So let's create that. So first of all, I'll take the we are having the notify output change event. So the to store this variable into my local of this class, I will use that variable for. So it is slider notify output change. This will be the function, and it is type of void. So you can see it it is a void type here. So same data, the same return type of this function I have declared. Next is private slider container, and that will be the container to storage. So if you see the container when in the initialize method, so it is as a HTML div element. So I have to take the container as a HTML div element. So it is HTML div element. Then private. Then in the container we'll have the two things. One is for the input field where the data will be the range type. Another is the label field, label tag, which will give the display the value of what is entered. So I'll just take this slider um, control, I'll give this name that, and that will be the HTML input element. Then private slider, this is label. I'll give this HTML a label element. Okay. Then to store the value which is inside the control, for that also I'll take one variable. So slider, or basically I'll make it as a control value. Okay, and that will be the string type, and by default I'm going to set it as a 0. So this is the few details we need to declare at the top. Okay. Next is we have to update our initialize function. So in that function, what we will do first, we'll assign that this dot slider notify method as equals to the notify method, because this method will be changed whenever there is a value or input has been changed by a user in the into the same. Okay, then we have to container we have to set. So this dot slider container equals to the container which is coming to this init function. And now let's create the DOM for range controller, is control. So here uh, this dot slider control equals to document dot create element, and it will be the of type element as type of input, and then this dot slider control dot type equals to the range. So that type, then this dot and the range will have the minimum and maximum value. So slider control dot minimum, I'm going to set as 0, and the maximum, this dot slider control dot max, I'm going to set as a 200 value. Okay, and then the value of this slider as of now in the beginning, slider control dot value, I'm going to take it from the context. So this is where the context. So when this component will load into the form of the model-driven app, the form context will be passed into the component framework context and as an input. And from this context, we can extract the value from the parameter. So here I'm going to do context dot parameters dot, and then we are having the still it is showing the sample property. Why? Because we have not generated the npm run, we have not built. So let me, I'll just as of now I'll just set this on 0, and then I will run this on the value. What I'm trying to say here is, if you see the manifest type dot definition of variable is generated, it is still pointing as npm sample, and we have changed the value to the dnlb slider. So this, from this slider, whatever the value we have into this field, where it is bound to, which field it is bound to, from that we need to extract. So this value we have to get into the manifest type here, so that it index file, it when it is exported from here, and it is imported here in this one, I can use it. So currently it has this value. So when I'm using this context dot, so if you see context dot input parameters, sorry, parameters dot, and then you can see only sample property I'm getting, because it is exported or imported, export, it is exported from the input and output interfaces of the manifest definition. So to update this the latest value, so I what I'm going to do as of now, I'm going to do the run build. So npm run build. Okay, so build has been successful. Now if you see the manifest type definition, you can see the dnv slider is coming now. So these two parts are exported from here. So if I go to my index file and try to get the value from that one, I can change it. So it is context dot parameters dot, now you can see dnv slider is coming. From that we will get the raw value, and from that raw we have to convert to a string. Otherwise, it should be the 0. If there's no value, then we will take it as a 0 by default. So this thing we can include. The next is we have to include the style of that one. So that I will do later part. Now let's create the DOM for the label control. Okay, so this dot slider label equals to the document dot create element. That will be the label, and under the label we have to give the value for that, right? Text value for that. Dot text content, it will be the uh, basically the value which we have having, so it is value, and value is coming from the control, so it is this dot slider control dot value. Okay, this is the value. Here the display of this one, slider label dot style dot display. I'm going to add few style here. That is should be the block. I want to display this label always, and then we can the align the text of which is coming to this label. So that is slider label dot style dot text align. I'm going to keep it as a center, and then we can add some styling if required. So now these two component we can include into our main containers under this slider container. So here uh, include the controls into the container. So here this dot slider container dot append child, and then we will use this dot slider control, and then this dot slider container dot append child, then this dot slider lib. So now these two control we have included. Once we have done, we have to add one more thing. So suppose when user will enter the value to the range, they will interact with the my input, right? So there is a event will be fired, the input event will be fired on my input text field, and that event I have to handle the data of that one. So for that, I'm going to I'm going to add here. So this dot slider control dot add, not container, it will be the control dot add event listener, and that will be of type input, and then it will pass the event as a event data, and then from this event we have to get the value. Okay, so that value we have to get it from our event. So event dot from the target, as we have to convert that event into the our HTML input element type, and from the element type we'll have the value. So that value we will get into the our value parameter here, and we'll set this value to the controls. So we have this dot control value, that is equals to value dot toString. We'll convert it, and then we can put this into the slider label also. So this dot slider label dot text content equals to, and that will be the value, and then this dot control value or the value. Okay, and now once it is done, we have to notify the framework that some changes has happened to this one, because this is the event, right? When it will be fired. So when event is changed, like input has done, then we have to notify the slider notify event. This we have to fire. We have to notify framework that some change value has happened. So you accept it, that value, save it into the server, and then we'll render it back. So like that. So this is done. So once we have done, we have completed this function, we can update the view here. So the update view, we have to get the a new value which is into the field. So constant new value, that will be equals to, from the context, obviously you can see the latest context of that form and the field, it is coming here. So context dot parameters dot slider and then dot raw. So we'll get that value into our new value field here, and then we will check if the new value is there, and the type of new value is equals to a string, then we can check if the this dot control value is not equals to 0. Like control value is not equals, like there is no value entered, so we'll just return from here. And like basically there are some situation when there is no value entered, so in this case we don't have to do anything in that case, and just we set this this dot control value as equals to 0 value. We'll not do anything, we'll not update anything, we'll just set the control value as 0. Okay, so this is it. Else, if it is not string type, it has some numeric value set here, so we'll check if it is numeric value, then if the new value dot to string is not equals to the control value, like the value is not the same, like control value and this the input value is not safe. So in this case we have to set the new value, right, to this control. So this dot the control value equals to new value to string, otherwise it will be the 0. Okay, and that control value what we have set, we have to render to the controls. So here what we can do, this dot slider control dot value equals to this dot control value, and this dot slider label dot text content equals to here the value and this dot control. So like that, we can update the value to the our control. Next is the output. Since the output will be returned to the framework, so that return we have to do. So first of all, we have to get that value from the input field, that whole number, that field which we are going to bind it. So it is output value. I'm just going to give this output value, that we have to get it as we have to parse it. So since it is a whole number, so I have to pass it as an integer type, and from where, so this will be from the control value, where because the control value field, the variable, it will store my latest value which is entered into that field. If it has that value, valid value, then it will take the, otherwise it will be initialize the 0, and that control value we are going to return here. So we are going to return this dot uh, slider control dnlb control dnlb, or we can say here like this, dnlb control, and that will be the output value. Okay, so we are returning here. Great. And now we can destroy these components. So we'll, that's all we have to, this much only we have to write into our get outputs. And here under this destroy, we are having this dot slider container, and we can remove the child, and that is this dot slider control. Then this dot slider container dot remove child, and that is this dot slider label. So those two controls what we have added, we have removed. So this is the very simple one. We can test it, like we can render it how it is loading. To first of all, we'll build it. So we'll build this code again. We'll see if there is any error. Okay, so it has built. Now we can test it. So npm start. When you this do this, it will build this again, and it will launch this have PCF into the local host. So it will open in your browser, and then you can see how your control looks like. Okay, there is some pressure. New value is possibly null. So where is that in the update? So new value we are having. Okay, so new value is context dot row. Okay, then new value type of new value equals to string, and then if this control value is not equals to 0, return. If this control value equals to 0, if new value okay, this is possibly null, so we have to give here to a string, then control. I think this is fine now. Okay, so now you can see your control will look like this, and when you change this value, you can see the value is changing here. Okay, so this is how you can update it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add this CSS to it. So for that, what I'm going to do, already I have one PCF created. So I'll open that PCF, and I'll open that code here. Here's my CS style file. So I'll open into my notepad, or the other editor here. So this CSS already I have created for this slider for some other projects. So I'll copy this one, and I will create the new folder. This is under this DNLB. I'm going to create. We have to create the new folder under this the controller folder which we have. So I'm going to create the new folder as a CSS here. Okay, and under this folder, I'm going to add the new file, that is slider style dot css, and then I will paste that code here. So this is the slider component which we have added now. So under the can you can see under the css we are for the web general appearance, we are giving the uh, range the color gradient color from little white to orange, then 5 pixel radius, then cursor as a pointer, background transition 0.3 seconds, width equals to 100, height equal to 8 pixels of that. Then when you hover it, then this is the color change from little dark to the further dark. Okay, linear gradient for the Chrome browser. So this is the setting, control setting, almost same for the Mozilla browser. So this is the control change. So some styles we have added here. Then for the label, we are going to make display block, text line center, font pixels, font size 16, font weight equal to bold, and then margin equals to 10, and the color, this is the little gray or black color. So this is a very simple style. You don't worry about this as of now. What I will do, the entire solution of this package of this PCF, I will put into my GitHub repository, and I'll give the link into the description box. You can download from there. So this code you can download from there, entire code. So now let's add this controller here. So this class, which is into this CSS, I'm going to include our slider control. So for this range here, I'm going to add this dot slider control dot class list dot add, and then this is the class file we can include. And for the label, we are having this one, label control, and we need to include here. So for this changes I'm going to do into the index.txt file. So this is the label control where we have created this dot slider label dot class list dot add, and then we will add it. Okay, now we have to do one more change. Since we have added the class CSS files here, that we have to include our manifest file. So we can use this example which it is added here. So I'll copy this sample and add here. And under the CSS folder, which is here, the file name is slider-style.css. So that file name we will change. So it is slider-style.css and order equals to 1. If suppose we are having multiple CSS file, we can give order 1, 2, 3 for the like the way you want to load these styles into the memory. So that is way we can define in the resource. So now everything is fine. It is loading correctly. So now let's rebuild it and test it how it will look like. So I'm going to do the run npm start again and check it. Okay, now you can see it is giving from gradient from little white to the gray, and then you can change the value. And this is the when you hover it, it will turn into little blue, and then this is the control. So this control will look like this. Now this control we will deploy into the our solution. So now let's move to the deployment side. So almost development of our control has been completed. So to test it into the our environment, we have to deploy. So there is a multiple way to deploy. So basically, if you see our steps here, so we can create one solution, make directory solution, package solution, this solution. Uh, we can create the one first of all the solution folder, and under that we can initialize the solution and publisher name and the prefix we can set, and we have to add our that project into our reference, and then we can build it and as a configuration as type of release, and then that package we can import it. So this is the one of the way to deploy the package solution into that. So let me show you the steps how we can create the package that you can import it. But for this purpose, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this in this approach where we can authenticate to the environment here, and then you can directly push this package. You don't have to import it manually. But as of now, for the deployment side, what I'm going to do, going to show you to generate the solution file. So for that, we have to be in our root folder here, and from my root folder, which is nothing but in this folder, I'm going to create new folder, make directory as a solution. Okay, and we'll go to this solution file. Okay, and under the solution file, we will add this pack solution in it, right? So, and the publisher name and then prefix name. So, if you see our environment for this solution, I'm using the publisher as a DNLB. If you go to the details or setting of my package, the publisher name is DNLB, and the details of this publisher is display name, and the prefix is DNLB. So this publisher I'm going to use. So I'm going to add here pack solution init publisher name DNLB and publisher prefix, it is also DNLB. Okay, so now as soon as you will add it, you will see under this solution folder what we have created, it will initialize the CDS project now. Okay, now once this is added, and now we have to add this solution into the references. So for to add this reference, this project reference, we have to like basically the project what we have built under this main folder, that we reference we have to add into our this CDS project. So for that, this is the command. So we have to add or build reference here. So I'm going to do that to pack solution add reference. So here pack solution add reference, and here we have to give the path. So the currently the path is like uh, uh, the new folder, so we have to go back and add it. So what I'll do, I'll just add the two dot here, and it will include the uh, path of this previous folder onwards, it will add the difference. So now you can see the project would have been updated here. If you see the path has been updated here, this is the updated solution. Now we can build it. To build it, this is the command. So we have to make sure you have installed the .NET framework into your tool. I forgot to mention in the beginning, but in the previous video, so in the same video in the beginning, like in the prerequisite, so you have to install the .NET framework or .NET core into your system, into your laptop or machine, so that you can build this CDS project into your system. So for building it, we can run this command. So if you run the ms build, it will build this CDS project. Okay, so it is ms build t restore. First, we have to install the packages, dependencies we have to install. So just going to install it. Okay, once it is done, then I can build it. So ms build uh, t, we have to build it. Then p and the configuration I want to do equals to as a release type. So now it will create the package for that, the zip file of our solution. Basically, what I did, I executed this command ms build t build and then configuration equal to t. So it will create the package generated file to my folder. So to verify that one, if I'll go to my main project folder demo, under demo we are having the PCF, under the PCF DNB slider, and here I created the solution folder. Under the solution folder, if you go to bin, we'll have the, since we give the command release, I mean configuration type equals to release, so it has created the release folder. Under that, this is a shift file of the solution it is created, and if you extract it, then you will see that this is similar to the solution when we export from our environment. So if you export any package from here, right? So it has these folder components, what we see here, the customization solutions and the content types and the controls, what it has. So like that. So this GIF file you need to install into your environment. So I need to install this one into in this system. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run this command to directly connect it into the my particular environment, and then use the solution unique name. So if you see the solution unique name from here in the details, this is my solution unique name. So I can use this solution unique name to directly publish this component into that solution. So in that case, the manual import is not required. So I will recommend use this approach most of the time when you are developing into your dev environment. So because you can find some error also if you're getting stuck somewhere. So for that, since already I have connected, you can I'm going to skip this step because already I have connected to my this environment. Make this one DNLB 91 this URL already I have connected, and when you connect, you have to give the username and password of your Dataverse connection, and then you have to authenticate and sign in, and then it will create the connections automatically. So already I have connected. So you can execute it. So basically the when you pass back auth create hyphen URL and then the environment URL in nothing but the you can skip this main dot aspx this much. So https environment.crm.dynamics. So this is nothing but the our environment URL where we want to connect it. So this environment URL you need to pass it, and when you pass it will ask you to sign in and then it will authenticate. So already I have done it. Now I can directly publish this one to my this solution. So if I'll open this solution here, and you can see, meanwhile I'll just copy this solution unique name so that I can paste there. Okay, so if you open this solution, I can see I do not have any custom component as of now added. So I'm going to publish it. So for that, first I have to go one folder back. I have to go to my root folder. So go back, and under this one, I have to publish it. So the pack PCF push, and then solution unique name, and then this is the name of the solution. Okay, and now you can execute. So now you can, it will, okay, this is not the right naming. My mistake. I think there's a spelling mistake here. Unique name. I'll just add here pack PCF push solution unique name, and this is the solution name. I'm just going to execute it. Okay, so it is, I just pasted it, saying, okay, so I think we have to give like this. Already I have run it, so I can see my old. Okay, this is the command. So pack PCF push. When I do that one, it will execute. Now you can see it is executing pack PCF push to this solution, and it is connected with my ID. So when you execute that one, it will show the connected with that environment. And now what it will do is it will build the entire thing what we have just now created into this solution file. It will do entire building part, and then it will generate the output file we'll get, right? From this output file, it will zip it, and then it will push that controls into this particular solution. Now it is compile. It will take maybe few seconds or few minutes to compile and publish it. And also it will import it, and it will publish into, it will do the publishing part also. So you can wait for some time until it's getting completed. So I will pause the video for some time. Now it is publishing. Okay, so now it has completed the publishing part. So now you can see the publishing has been done. Now I'll open the solution here, and if I refresh my solution, you can see custom component came, and this is the our component name. So this component has been pushed into this solution. Now to use it, what I'm going to do, as I mentioned on the contact on the contact entity under this contact form, I have this field, right, age. So I have to use it. So I'll open the table of the contact and the form of that one, the contact form, and I will use that component. And here we are having the age, right? For this age, we are going to set the controller. So here, then we can go to the component and add the component. You will not see the component by default here as soon as you will publish, but you have to go to the get more component. Then you can search the component here, DNLB, which we have created. So this is the DNLB slider component which we have created, and add it. And you can select this component here, and you can see DNB slider component, it is added to this one. And now when you add the preview of that one, you can see here. So we can save and publish. After publishing this form, we can see this interface loading into our contact form here. So I will refresh this. There is some issue in the loading. I can check it why it is failing. It is our index.ts. This file. And try to reload this again. Initialize data field failed. Okay, there is some initialization of this one. Now there was some error because the initialization data, it was having the more value, right, to this one. That is why it was giving this error. It has loaded successfully. I didn't do any changes. Since the value was higher than that range, so it was giving that error. So I just when I save it low value, when you change it, you can see the it will go as a unsafe form because it why it is coming unsafe because of this notify which we are doing from the uh, change here. So when you event will fire, it will call this notify, right? So using this method, we inform the framework that there's some changes happen to this field and please save it. So user has to save this form to store that value. So like this, the control you can use, and maximum 200 and minimum 0, you can set it. I hope now you understood how to create the PCF component framework and what are the different components in the solution we have, and deploy the solution PCF directly into the particular solutions, or you can create the zip file of your package of your PCF and import it. So that things we have seen it. So I hope this video was useful to you guys, and thank you for watching this video.